She grabs my leg and won't let me leave. And I'm like, Robyn, I need you to drag her off of me. And she says, she's expressing herself. You're going to have to take 5 minutes and let her do it.
Kody has absolutely zero control over the child he supposedly raised. If this were any of the other wives' kids, they'd simply say, knock it off, Ari, and that would be the end of it. But of course, Robyn would immediately play the victim, lamenting how mean and unwelcoming everyone is. There's something seriously off about the dynamic in Kody and Robyn's household. The older girls seem emotionally wrecked whenever they speak in confessionals. The younger ones act like they've never stepped outside the house, and Ariella? Well, let's just say the word no hasn't been a big part of her vocabulary. But the most bizarre thing? How every minor inconvenience is treated like a full-blown catastrophe. Kody nearly in tears because Ariella didn't want him to leave for another wife's house. Weird. Kody openly sobbing on camera because he couldn't hug Aurora while he had coronavirus? Even weirder. The whole thing screams codependency. Honestly, it feels like Stockholm Syndrome at this point. Now, everyone's calling out Robyn for not stepping in to discipline Ari, but let's be real, this is Kody's kid too. He should have been able to manage his own child. Sure, Robyn encouraging the behavior is gross, but Kody had every opportunity to shut it down. He just didn't. And let's not forget, this is the same guy who used the "I can't be away from my young kids" excuse to justify skipping Isabel's surgery. Maybe, just maybe, he should reflect on why some of his older kids have decided they're better off without him. His refusal to support Isabel may have been the wake-up call they needed, making them realize he was never actually going to be there when it mattered. It's also painfully obvious that nobody bothered to explain to Ari that Kody has other wives and children. In her world, they're just extra aunts and cousins, not actual family members. Apparently, when the families blended, no one thought to clarify to Robyn's kids that polygamy means, sharing a dad. But then again, Robyn didn't grow up in polygamy herself. Her father showed up whenever he felt like it. No rotations, no real family structure. So it makes sense that she wouldn't understand how this is supposed to work. And speaking of double standards, let's talk about how Robyn left to stay with Michael after she had her twins, but Kody couldn't be bothered to do the same for Isabel's surgery. Why is it that Kody cannot possibly leave the tenders for a few days, but Robyn can? Funny how that works. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. The whole fake storyline discussion got me thinking. I live in Las Vegas and actually had a few run-ins with the Browns back when they lived here. I'm currently rewatching the show, and one thing that really stood out was the dramatic saga of them trying to secure financing for their houses. Right in the middle of their supposed financial struggle, they go to a parent-teacher conference. No big deal, except I immediately recognized the campus. It was Las Vegas Day School. One of the most expensive private schools in the area. So let me get this straight. They're barely scraping by, but they can afford to send multiple kids to a school that costs thousands per month per child? Makes perfect sense. Now, I know for a fact that some of the kids went to public school. Leon even got an NHS award from a public school the year before. Plus, a friend of mine subbed for some of their classes at a public school. But boy howdy, most families can't even afford LVDS for one kid, let alone an entire squad. Now I just have one burning question. Did they make the kid's Spanish teacher drive across town to teach there, or was she a complete phony? Wouldn't be the first time reality TV played fast and loose with reality. I mean, I live in South Florida, and my neighborhood entrance was constantly used in Dance Moms, Miami. But you could tell from the actual house architecture that the featured girl lived somewhere else entirely. Ours just had a more impressive entrance. Gotta keep up appearances, right? If anyone else has behind-the-scenes tea, I'd love to hear it. And if there's interest, I have plenty more awkward Brown family encounters to share. So they're discussing the division of CP. Great. But what about the McMansion? These women need a forensic accountant to dig into the family finances ASAP. If their money was used to fund the DABSARK account, that's not just shady, that's illegal. Commingling funds? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Once they start investigating, I have a feeling they'll uncover a lot more. Next, let's do some math. They need to calculate exactly what they're owed from the McMansion, original contributions, interest, or a percentage of the increased value, whichever nets them the most. Time to get their money back. This is Robyn's golden opportunity to silence her critics, both the viewers and her own family. Her sister wives may be leaving, but let's not forget that for years, they financially contributed to the well-being of her children. If she truly wants to show gratitude and fairness, now would be the time to acknowledge that and support an equal division of assets. Of course, it all depends on how the McMansion was paid for. If Mary and Janelle gifted the money, as most mortgages require, then, well, they're out of luck. That's exactly what those gift documents are designed to ensure. Once the money is given, there's no taking it back. But if the funds came from the LLC, they might have a case. Then again, it depends on what the withdrawn money was actually used for. At the time, it seemed like it was meant for the wives who contributed. Now, not so much. We already know they pulled out $150,000 and $120,000. Where did that money really go? And let's not forget Kody, because of course, he's been running the show with his sketchy business tactics. He's a hustler. If he hasn't already started shifting assets out of his name, I'd be shocked. By the time the other wives try to go after him, there might be nothing left in his name to claim. Jen and Mary are absolute geniuses. The carriage house is officially OPN. Well, sort of. I just watched Fridays with Friends, where they announced that while they normally don't allow non-guests to snoop around the inn, they're making a festive exception. This holiday season, the gift shop will be open for shopping only, so if you were hoping for a full tour, tough luck. Now, about the renovations. Yeah, don't expect any big reveals just yet. Thanks to a little thing called a show contract, they can't spill the details. So yes, we're getting the full HGTV-style Reno plot. Get excited, but don't worry. Jen assured us that it's absolutely packed with circles. In fact, the pièce de résistance, a round pink glitter counter in the center, because of course. And if you're dying to see just how many circles Jen managed to cram into the design, congratulations, you can. Just swing by this holiday season. Isn't Marie the only one selling any merch? And even then, it's just Lizzie's heritage stuff online, not Sister Wives merch. Makes you wonder if there's some contract clause barring her from selling Southwest-themed stuff without TLC's blessing. Speaking of which, do we think Kody and Robyn have tried to strong-arm Mary into offloading all the leftover My Sister Wife's closet junk? I can practically hear the pitch now. Mary, you already have a store. Why not make room for some timeless MSWC pieces? Then why is it that we never hear about Robyn's kids? We get constant updates on everyone else, Gabe or Garrison, take your pick, buying a townhouse, Michael T's pregnancy, Christine's dramatic exit, but Robyn's kids? Radio silence. Instead, we're treated to an endless pity party over Christine leaving. Oh, but wait, we did get that thrilling ear-piercing episode. That should be enough, right? It's funny because when Robyn was Aurora's age, she was already a mother of 2 and a part-time diesel model, whatever that means. Yet now, her kids seem to exist in some off-limits, VIP bubble, while the rest of the family is expected to put their leaves on display for the cameras. And let's not forget the financial angle. Robyn has no problem benefiting from the show and everyone else's money. But when it comes to actually participating, Suddenly, privacy is the priority. As for Dayton, have you noticed how rarely we see him? Maybe he doesn't stick to Robyn's carefully crafted narrative, and that's why he's conveniently tucked away in an RV on their property. Honestly, you have to wonder how the older kids feel about this. They grew up on camera. Their lives were the foundation of this show. But Robyn's kids, apparently, they're just too precious for that kind of exposure. Why don't we ever hear about Robyn's kids? Seriously, we know that Gabe/Garrison bought a townhouse, Michael 'tis pregnant, again, and every other little update about the family. But when it comes to Robyn's kids, radio silence. Instead, it's just nonstop sobbing over Christine leaving. Oh, but don't forget, we did get an entire episode about an ear piercing, so I guess that should be enough, right? Funny how when Robyn was Aurora's age, she was already a mother of 2 and moonlighting as a part-time diesel model. But now, her kids are apparently too delicate for the cameras. It's classic Sobin behavior, always making sure she and her overcooked tenders benefit at the expense of everyone else. She expects the rest of the family to be front and center on the show, showcasing their lives, their struggles, their milestones. But her house, her kids, off limits? Oh, but she'll happily take the family's money. And let's talk about Dayton, rarely seen, hardly mentioned. Could it be that he doesn't stick to Robyn's carefully curated script? Maybe that's why he's off living in an RV on their property. Out of sight, out of mind. At the end of the day, I assume Robyn sees the backlash she gets and wants to shield her kids from it. Fine, but it must be frustrating for the older kids, considering the entire show was built on their childhoods. But Robyn's kids, too special for that? Make it make sense. The most devious thing Robyn has ever done. Oh, that's easy. Season 8, when the anthropologists visited. Picture this. The family is sitting around in the living room, and here comes Aurora, Robyn's daughter, plopping herself right onto Kody's lap. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, no, I'm not implying anything inappropriate. But let's be real, when was the last time we saw any of the other kids, especially at that age, preteen, early teen, being that physically clingy with Kody? Anyone? Biller? I've been rewatching select episodes from each season, basically watching the family unravel at high speed, and it's painfully clear that Robyn's most calculated move was the way she orchestrated the intense, almost desperate, bond between her kids and Kody. And by bond, I mean an over-the-top, performative display of affection meant to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that her kids loved Kody more than anyone else's did. This was the original wedge, the moment the OG-13, Kody's other kids, were silently shoved aside in favor of the chosen ones. Imagine being one of them, sitting there, watching your step-siblings constantly draped over your dad like human security blankets. Uncomfortable much, and let's not pretend this was organic. No, we saw it from the start. Season 1, Episode 2, when Robyn's kids, who had barely even met Kody, were already insisting on adoption like it was a life-or-death situation. We had the infamous panic attack moment. Fast forward to the recent seasons, and we get Aerie literally clinging to Kody to keep him from leaving. These moments aren't just isolated incidents. They're everywhere, littered throughout the show like breadcrumbs leading to the inevitable conclusion. This wasn't just affection, it was a campaign. Now, to be fair, Kody has always been affectionate with his younger kids. Until, of course, they hit a certain age, at which point the hugs and lap time mysteriously vanish. Funny how that works. And sure, there were moments when Isabel was affectionate too. I vaguely remember a scene where Christine, Kody, and Isabel discussed how she was sweet to him and Mary, but not to Christine. So yes, he did care for all his kids at some point, before the Great Divide. And for those who push the nobody liked Mary narrative, let's not rewrite history. There are plenty of moments where kids, not just Robyn's, are seen snuggled up with her on the couch or sitting on her lap. Affection wasn't exclusive to Robyn's children. It's just that, with them, it felt more like a performance. Kody and Robyn should be forced to sit down and rewatch the early episodes, every single one. Preferably with a live audience. It's wild how much they contradict themselves, and I'd love to see their reactions when faced with the actual footage. So, a few observations from my rewatch, or technically, my first time watch of the early seasons, but whatever. The OG wives were incredibly vocal about their fears and insecurities. Christine, crying from the start, saying she felt Kody put way too much effort into Robyn, right out of the gate. Shocking, I know. Mary, also crying, admitting she'd even thought about leaving Kody, but stayed out of loyalty and for her child. And Kody? He just sits there, silent, like a guy who suddenly forgot how to have opinions. When Robyn moved closer to the family, everyone went to get her. Not just Kody, not just a few of the older kids, all of them. Even Christine, who was heavily pregnant, drove 10 hours round trip to help. But sure, tell me again how Robyn and her kids were never accepted. Robyn has been crying since the very first episode. Mary looks genuinely shocked every time it happens. Janelle looks like she's watching a documentary on a foreign species. And Christine? Christine looks like she's mentally placing bets on how many times this woman can cry in one season. Robyn contradicts herself immediately. First, she claims she couldn't tell anyone who her father was. Next episode, she's gushing about how her stepdad stepped up for her. So which is it? Because last I checked, being a stepfather isn't exactly a state secret. Also, fun fact, her mother was his mistress. But let's not talk about that. The whole Robyn's kids were never accepted narrative. False. The footage literally shows them playing with the other kids at her house while Christine is in labor. But sure, let's rewrite history. No way Kody didn't love Mary. He was obsessed with her having another child. Christine is in labor, and he's over here asking the doctor if they know any good fertility specialists. Leon says they want to go to private school, and his first thought? Oh, I thought you were going to tell me you were pregnant. Mary's response? Did you really? And let's not forget when they were in Mexico. And he brought up IVF, only to yank that rug out from under her later. Robyn was pissed that the OG wives didn't want her in the rotation before she was officially married. Her reasoning? She had moved, changed jobs, and pulled her kids out of school. Yes, that's how she says it. So basically, it was all about her and her sacrifices. Who's surprised? Last time they showed Kody and Robyn clips that directly contradicted their current victim narratives. Robyn stormed out in tears and refused to keep filming. Classic move. And let's not forget, Robyn once claimed she was uncomfortable filming. Yet, she fully expected the OG wives to support her and her kids, while also refusing to pull her own weight or let them help raise her children. But remember, she was totally willing to take any job to contribute, just as long as that job didn't require actual work. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.